Hello my loves and welcome to the Perfume Realm. My name is Manahil and today's video is going to be my top 10 men's fragrances for the fall. But before we get started, I just wanted to say, if you are interested in joining the realm, I highly suggest clicking the subscribe button as well as the bell notification so you can stay up to date on everything that is happening here. Now let's jump into the video. The first perfume on the list for fall's men's fragrances is Apple Brandy by Kilian. This is a gorgeous perfume. It has a really nice apple accord, and I love apple for the fall because it can either be really nice and crisp, which really reflects the really cool and crisp autumn weather, or they can be really nice and tender and warm. And that tender and warm apple is found here in Apple Brandy. It is as if the apples have been cooking and they're really soft and all of the juices have come out. All of those juices now mix in with that brandy and create a really nice boozy scent, a little bit of an oak barrel scent in the back as well. It's absolutely lovely, so inviting. I also think it's perfect for a couple's perfume pair. And what I mean by that is that if a man was wearing Apple Brandy, it would perfectly complement a woman who is wearing La Danza de Libellule from Nobile 1942. This is also a really beautiful scent. It is unisex, but I feel like it leans a little bit more feminine. It's a really nice apple pastry type of a scent. So you have a gourmand apple over here in a more of a flaky pastry warm way, and then Apple Brandy, which is a lot more boozy and warm, and together I think that they make a great pair. So Apple Brandy will be the first one on my list. The next perfume on my list for the best men's fall fragrances is Coco Moon by Geeza. Now, if you're already familiar with Coco Moon, I just want to say that it is absolutely worth the hype. And if you're not familiar with Coco Moon, it is a coconut-centric fragrance that comes from the indie house Geeza. And I originally bought this for myself, but my brother smelled it and he fell in love with it and took it from me. This is a unisex fragrance, but I do feel like it leans a little bit more masculine. To me, this smells like if you took a vat of really high quality men's cologne with cedar in it as well as oak moss, which add a little bit of earthiness, a little bit of woodiness to it. So you have that, and then you take a big scoop of really dense cocoa butter and put it in the vat, let it all blend and melt together, and then you pour in coconut oil. So you let that beautiful mixture brew a little bit, and as it blends together you get Coco Moon, which is a really nice dense and thick scent. So although many would find it tropical, I think it is perfect for the fall because of how dense it is and how creamy it is, and also because of how warm it is. It opens up with a beautiful pineapple coconut combination. There's just the right amount of pineapple in the opening, which really makes it a little bit more sweet, a little bit more bright, and then the pineapple merges with the coconut and really makes everything blend together seamlessly. There is sandalwood in here as well. Like I said, it is very creamy and very smooth. I think it would just be so nice on a man in the fall. I'm just picturing it. It also smells like a really well moisturized man, as if a man took cocoa butter and moisturized himself with it. Anna Absolute and I were talking and mentioned how it has that kind of effect. It does have this kind of humidity to it, but in a way that it's body heat. So it's actually a little bit musty, but that sounds so terrible. That sounds like a horrible adjective, but it's not horrible in this case. It's not musty in a BO type of way. It's just that kind of body heat and humidity that pairs with the rest of the fragrance and really makes it warm and inviting and delicious. So this is going to be the second one on my list. The next fragrance on my list for the top 10 men's fall fragrances is Womo from Valentino. Now this is a beautiful gourmand scent. I love gourmands, and so of course I think gourmands smell amazing on men as well. I think sometimes, especially with those who are not super involved with fragrances in the fragrance community, gourmand fragrances in their mind gets reserved for women, or it's a feminine thing. But Womo is actually a great example of a men's gourmand fragrance. It has hazelnut in it, it has chocolate, and it has coffee, and oh my goodness, is it beautiful. It's not too complicated or complex. I don't think the composition was created to really absolutely blow someone's mind when it comes to being unique. That's not the case. It is just a perfectly done gourmand, executed really well. Everything has been blended beautifully. I think it really does smell like a coffee shop. The sweetness in this is more of a bitter sweetness than just plain old sugary sweetness. So the nutty aspect of hazelnut is preserved, and then the chocolate, kind of the sweetness in chocolate, but also the bitterness that you really pick up on in dark chocolate sometimes, that is also in here. And the last piece that I really love about this is that it has a really nice suede leather type of note, and that really makes things a lot more smooth and supple, but also a lot more luxurious. The leather just kind of amps up the sophistication and the masculine nature in this fragrance, and it also gives a really nice platform for the chocolate and the coffee and the hazelnut to stand on. So I also think that Valentino's Womo is a beautiful option for men in the fall. My next fall men's fragrance suggestion is Mula from the House of Byron. This is amazing. I actually really do want to invest in a full bottle for myself, but I also think that this would be amazing on a man. This is truly something I find unisex, but it is a really beautiful, sweet, and powerful scent. So a lot of people say that this has a really sharp opening, and to be honest, the opening is very powerful. There is absolutely no restraint. It just, comes at you really hard, really fast. But I think that's kind of the personality of this perfume. That is the character of this perfume. It is not shy, and it is not meant to be shy or demure. It is very in your face, but it has such an interesting and well orchestrated composition that really prevents this perfume from becoming, juvenile or brash or overly aggressive. And that's really what saves it from being like a total train wreck. In my opinion, that powerful, potent value that this has just works with this perfume. There's peach, oud, saffron, and ginger. It is really some powerful notes packed into one little bottle of perfume. In my case, one little vial that will soon be a full bottle, inshallah. But there are also a lot of different elements that make it a little bit more darker and interesting. Also, this one will last absolutely all day, and everyone will be able to smell it as well. So Mula for men would be number 3. The next perfume on my list for the best men's fall fragrances is Black Phantom from Kilian. Oh my goodness, is this beautiful. This is also a unisex fragrance, but I would say again leans heavily masculine, and it is a luxurious chocolate scent. Chocolate is one of the notes in this fragrance, but I actually feel like all of the other notes really play into the chocolate to give it a lot more dimension, to make it more interesting, and also to give it texture. It's definitely a chewy type of scent. There's almond in there to give it a really nice kind of nuttiness, which is perfect because again it elevates the chocolate. So it's not just a typical run-of-the-mill chocolate. It's something very special. There's sugarcane in here, and when they say sugarcane, they mean sugarcane, not overly processed sugar. There's just a level of rawness to it, which is just perfect in this scent. There's coffee in here as well to add ambiance, to really make it even more attractive, and again to give it more depth and delight. And I think Black Phantom is definitely a scent that is going to bring in compliments as well. So gentlemen, if you are watching this, let me tell you, Black Phantom is always the way to go. Next up we have Mugler Purehavan. This scent is a really nice resinous tobacco scent. It also has honey in it, which is one of my favorite notes, and the honey just adds a tinge of sweetness to that tobacco. By the way, I really love that they used honey to sweeten up this fragrance because I just love the combination of tobacco and honey. I just think that they complement each other so well. And then of course there's patchouli in here as well. Purehavan is a really nice scent, definitely masculine. It kind of has, the smell of a cigar shop but like with extra sweetness in it. And again, it is full of warmth for the fall, and I also think that it is pretty versatile. But I do have to say the combination of tobacco and honey might not be for everyone, because I know that honey itself is a note that is challenging for some people and they find it unsettling, as well as tobacco. Not with me, but I do know that, that happens with other people, so I did want to mention it. But it is a beautiful scent. So Purehavan from Mugler is the next fragrance on my list. The next best fragrance for men during the fall is Timbuktu from the Artisan. Now this fragrance is one of my absolute favorites. I know I keep saying that I love the fragrances, and that is because I chose what I love the most, but Timbuktu easily has to be one of my favorite discoveries for 2020. It is a nice dry scent. To me, it smells like it is fit for the great King Mansa Musa, who was, the richest man in documented history, and he is from Timbuktu. It is a beautiful, spicy, dry scent. There's myrrh in there. There is cardamom, which I adore. Cardamom is definitely one of my favorite notes. There's also mango in there, but the sweetness of the mango doesn't give you any belief from how parched and dry the scent is. It just adds sweetness. To me, it smells like dried mangoes, which I also love. It's really incredible how, this fragrance helps me feel the heat of Timbuktu just through the bottle, just through the scent. It is a warm scent, but I've smelled warmer scents. It's more than the warmth that makes you feel like you can feel the heat. It is also how dry it is. There's also papyrus in here, which just adds another level of, arid environment, and it is so beautiful. I think that this is a fragrance that every single man should have in their collection anyways, and honestly, I think it is a work of art completely. So it's definitely a good way to go this fall. All of it together really creates an experience. So if you're exploring for fragrances during the fall, definitely check out Timbuktu. My next recommendation for the best fall men's fragrance is Tuscan Leather from Tom Ford. Now this scent is a classic for any man who loves a nice leather perfume. Now Tuscan Leather has a really nice smooth quality to it. It has a little bit of a resinous base as well, with a beautiful deep amber and olibanum. And then in the heart there's a little bit of jasmine, which really adds an interesting element to Tuscan Leather that you don't always see in a leather-centric fragrance. And I think it is just brilliant because jasmine itself kind of has an indolic nature if you're using, a jasmine with that indolic nature intact. Sometimes, they remove indole because it can be tricky for some people. I don't feel like it's been removed in Tuscan Leather, and that's why I feel like it just works really, really well. The opening has a little bit of raspberry, which I also love because I think that slight sweetness just works so well against the rest of the leather suede combination. And that is why I find that when a man layers Lost Cherry with Tuscan Leather, it is an amazing combination. And of course you can substitute any, really nice fleshy cherry scent instead of using Lost Cherry to layer with this fragrance. The only reason I'm saying Lost Cherry is not because, it's a Tom Ford fragrance and it goes with the Tom Ford fragrance. The only reason I am saying that is because it's a combination that I have smelled on a man before and I adored it. It was so beautiful. That really nice, sweet, fleshy cherry just worked really beautifully with Tuscan Leather, and I think that the same way the cherry worked with Tuscan Leather is the way the raspberry in the opening works with the rest of the perfume as well. And so Tuscan Leather is another option for the men for fall. Alright, so the next option is for all of the coffee lovers out there, and it is Follow from Kerosene. I love the House of Kerosene. I think that they do amazing, unique fragrances. I'm a big fan of Unknown Pleasures. I love Winter of '99 as well. And then I also really, really love Fields of Rubus, and I want a full bottle of that one soon as well. But Follow is one of the best coffee fragrances I have ever smelled. It is very realistic, and although it is not the best at performance, I would say in the beginning it has an amazing, performance when it comes to projection and sillage. It really fills up a room. However, being a coffee scent, the actual coffee note can get a little bit fleeting, and I think that just comes with the territory. It's hard for that kind of note to linger for a long time. And so the longevity isn't amazing. I would say though that it does last longer than most other coffee centric fragrances that I have smelled. I would say it lasts a good 5 hours before it starts to become a skin scent. And to finish the list for the top 10 best fragrances for men during the fall is Black Orchid. You guys know the drill with this one. It is an absolute icon in my opinion. It is very, very unique. I know, of course, other people have probably tried to replicate it. I don't think anyone has come anywhere close to Black Orchid. This is just such a standout fragrance, and although it is marketed towards women, I find this to be completely unisex, and I think a man in the fall wearing this is just, I love the image of that, or at least the olfactory image of that. So this is a really, really nice scent with Mexican chocolate in it, which adds a little bit of bitterness. There's jasmine in here as well. There's something a little bit off in this. It might be the indole in the jasmine. It's a very unique scent, and if you're not familiar with it, this one is not super duper warm in my opinion, but it is very complex, and it does have a certain level of thickness to it and kind of a luxurious feel to it. I think if a man is getting ready to take his whip, out for a ride, and he's all dressed up, maybe he's going to get dinner later on with someone special, whatever it is, I think that this scent makes you stand out. And honestly, the beauty with Black Orchid is, I don't think in itself Black Orchid is masculine or feminine for that matter. I think that the man has to bring his own masculinity to the party. And I just realized throughout my list I kept saying masculine as if that's the only kind of men out there. Masculine, I kind of use it interchangeably with whenever I'm speaking about like something manly or something a man would wear, a fragrance that leans towards men or is marketed towards men. I'm not always talking about, this gruffness and being insensitive or any of the connotations that word has in society. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm not talking about it in that kind of toxic masculinity thing that has been going on, where men have to be, a certain image to society. I'm not talking about that, but I am talking about a man bringing his own character to the table and really owning this perfume. And if you are a soft-spoken man, or one who might be more passive rather than what people think of a man where it's very dominating and aggressive, that's totally fine. But you can still bring your own character to this fragrance. You can still bring your own masculinity. I don't only define masculinity by those terms. I just want to say that because I feel like that creates a limiting type of a list. I think everyone has a certain boldness in their character, and it doesn't have to be with the way you present yourself. It could be in the way you talk. It could be in your own restraint where you find boldness, because some people have no willpower. Some people have no restraint or, rational thinking. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to get too philosophical, but I did feel like that was important to point out because I was using the word masculine a lot in this kind of top 10 guide, and I want you guys to know where I stand on that, and I wanted you guys to know that any man can rock Black Orchid, and it is perfect for the fall. Alright my loves, that is going to wrap up my top 10 men's fall fragrances list. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy this video or any of my content, I would really appreciate it if you could give it a like and also share it with a friend. Of course, if that button down there that says subscribe is still red, I would love it if maybe it wasn't red. Maybe if you could make a little click and turn it gray, I would really appreciate that. Other than that, have a good one.